All right. Welcome everybody. Hello there. It is Adamcast IRL. We have a special guest for everyone today. This is Naomi Seibt. She is a well-known influencer on multiple different fronts. You may know her from everyone calls you the anti-Greta, although I know you don't like that. And the quote is amazing. I know I told you this earlier. I just have to say it for everyone. So the reason, do you mind if I just tell everyone why
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
you don't like it? Well, I found this in an article that people were, I don't know if they were quoting you from something else, but the reason you don't like the term anti-Greta, because it suggests that you are an indoctrinated puppet yourself.
I mean,
And I
it's
love that.
true. I don't like that she's being upheld as this climate symbol, and she's basically Christ, and I'm the anti-Greta, the anti-Christ.
Right, right,
And yeah, she's the prophet, but she's basically just a symbol. She's a child,
right.
and well, she's no longer a child now, technically, but she was a
Yeah.
child when she started. And
Well, it's
um,
always already come out that she's a puppet
yeah,
because she accidentally
exactly.
posted that article
Yeah.
teaching her what to say, and it's like,
hmm
what? It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, and I don't want to be in that same category. I don't want to be the right wing anti-Greta,
Yeah,
and basically just a poster girl for right wing people, which is
right.
what the media likes to call me. And this is actually, I think, this is why I became popular internationally. Because what really kickstarted my career, if you will, was this Washington Post article when I was on the front page of the Washington Post.
Of course,
And
Washington Post.
yeah,
Please
and
continue.
that was a positive article, and
Oh,
that's why it's so interesting, because they reached out to me and they interviewed me, and everyone told me don't do this. My everyone I was
Washington
like,
Post.
yeah, exactly, everyone I
Yeah,
was working with and my family, everyone told me don't do this. This is dangerous. They hate you.
yeah.
They will drag you through the mud. And but I'm the kind of person, I'm always open to every kind of debate, any kind of discussion. And back then, maybe I was a little naive,
Everyone
but I
is
would do
at
it
one
again.
point.
I would totally do it again. And so I agreed to do the interview in secret, basically.
Okay.
Nobody knew about this. And I was in Germany and they were whoever in the US. And so we did it over WhatsApp and they called me and it was a phone interview. And I think initially they only wanted to write a few lines about me and yeah, just to present, just to maybe pretend to show the other side, to suggest that we have, yeah, alternative views out there,
Yeah.
you know.
Right, right.
Um, but then they really started digging deeper because I was delivering science. I was not just
Truth.
basically, yeah, exactly. And well, what Greta always says is listen to the experts. And I could do the same thing and say, listen to the climate skeptics. But that's not what I do. I really dig through the facts and I present them to them.
Yeah.
And so I think they were kind of surprised because, especially back then in 2019, I looked a lot younger as well. I was very underweight and looked a bit underdeveloped because I was very ill. And
Okay.
so I totally understand that people were probably not really taking me very seriously and just thought that I was this poster girl, right wing, anti Greta, whatever, 5 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I guess I delivered the science, and so they
Well, they
started
don't like that.
asking more questions. Well, they thought it was quite fascinating. I think they started asking me more questions and really challenging me, and
Hmm.
then they sent me studies, and I had to respond with studies as well. So it really was a challenge. They were testing me totally. This went on for a week or so, and then eventually, like I said, I got the front page. And it was a very neutral article, I would say. And this is when the whole media storm started. And I got interview requests from all over the world. Then I was
Yeah.
on Fox News, for example. Yeah, so that was really how it all started. And I think that is what makes me different from Greta.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also because I also don't really like the sentence "listen to the experts," because how are you supposed to know who the expert is and who gets
Exactly.
to decide who is the expert? Yeah.
Right, right. You're just
So
supposed to
I think,
trust that.
yeah, and I think it's fine to find a scientist, for example, even climate scientists who are like pro climate change activism, and look at what they have to say, but then make sure that you really understand what they are saying. And then you can draw your own conclusions. I think that's really important. And if you don't understand, then ask questions.
Yep. I think that's lost right now, especially in our leaders. I just
Yeah,
read an article yesterday about how in India and in China and in France, I believe, the leaders are doing their own research and learning about
yeah,
stuff instead of just being like, well, I'm going to hire this expert to trust, when who knows who paid that expert. I mean, people
yeah,
and I there was a speech from one of our ex-presidents, Eisenhower, and he basically warned uh, government sanctioned science is not actual science, and you must be wary of that. And that's what
yeah,
these experts are. Like, who really knows until you understand what they're talking about, until you understand the material. How do you know if you can trust it, right? So it's rather commendable of you to do your own research. And I mean, from what I see from Greta, you're right. It's like, how dare you, shame, shame, and trust the experts know the best. And it's like, all right. And then when what I see of you is like, here's some science that proves my point, here's some more science that proves my point, and I understand all of this, do you? It's rather based. It is rather refreshing to see that,
yes, and
especially from someone
especially, yeah.
at such a young age. Sorry, continue,
Thank
please.
you. And especially with such a complex topic like climate change,
True.
it is just not as easy as saying CO2 causes this.
Right.
There are so many factors that play into climate. And why do you just focus on this one greenhouse gas? There are multiple greenhouse gases in the air,
Hmm.
and man-made CO2 only makes up a fraction of those. 60% of greenhouse gases is actually just water vapor, and then the rest is mostly CO2, but only a fraction of that is man-made.
Okay.
And you might say, okay, maybe that has an impact, because greenhouse gases, yeah, do have an impact on climate. Obviously, they keep us warm. That is a
Yeah.
good thing generally. And maybe this even a little bit of poison can kill you if it's really strong. So maybe this really has an impact. But the problem is that the IPCC claims that the greenhouse gas effect that we would experience in a lab experiment with CO2. So you can imagine, if you double the CO2 concentration in a lab experiment, you will get a temperature increase of about 1.5 degrees.
Okay.
But the difference is, of course, in the atmosphere, there are other factors that play into this as well. And here's where the IPCC's computer models come into play. I call them silly little computer games, because they get to decide which factors amplify this greenhouse gas effect. And then they say, so for example, we've got clouds and I don't know, all kinds of factors that play into this and that make this greenhouse gas effect even stronger. And this is referred to as climate sensitivity. And so the higher the climate sensitivity, the stronger the impact of the greenhouse gas effect. And so technically, as it would be in the lab experiment with those 1.5 degrees per doubling of CO2 concentration, that wouldn't be an issue. And even the IPCC, they even say that would not be the issue. The issue is that because of those extra factors that they decide which factors they use in their computer games.
Of course.
Yeah, those are what make the greenhouse gas effect detrimental. Yeah, catastrophic
Yeah.
global warming, because they say instead of 1.5 degrees, this greenhouse gas, those emissions, they lead to up to 4.5 degrees warming. So they amplify it with the factor of 3.
It sounds like fear factor. Like they're just
Yeah,
trying to ramp up the
exactly.
fear.
Exactly. And how do they determine this? I mean, those computer models, of course, they are smart computers, but eventually it's just humans deciding which factors to choose. And the problem is, many of their predictions have failed. So 30 years ago, they said that we would experience a couple of degrees of warming, and we did not. So
True.
naturally, what should you do? You should change the factors that you put into your computer model, maybe add different factors, not just the positive feedback effects, but also ones that can lead to more cooling as well.
Yeah. The UN
Yeah.
said in 1989 that by 2020 the world would be underwater.
Yeah.
It and
I
I'm not
think I'm not
underwater right
drowning.
now. I
Yeah.
think we're still breathing air and we're good. Meaning they were wrong. And they're supposed to be the experts, and they're
Yeah.
using the computer models that. I mean, you really think about that. It's like they probably have the data that shows the less extreme version of it, but they're not showing
Yeah.
us that. They don't want
Mm.
people to see that. They want people afraid. I mean, it just makes me think of everything that's going on right now, with
Yeah.
COVID and masks. And I
Oh,
mean,
yes. I like to compare those
goodness.
two as two fairy tales, and they are very much related.
I
And
know.
the
Yeah,
the
exactly.
climate change fairy tale was a really good one, yes, but the coronavirus fairy tale is an even better one. And
Yeah.
they really, I am very impressed by them this
Are you?
time.
It's scary
Yeah,
though. But
it
you're
is
right.
scary
They did
because
a good
this
job.
time, honestly, this time it goes way deeper, I think, than the climate change problem. Because with the climate change problem, um, when people call me a climate change denier,
Mhm.
it doesn't really affect me because it's pretty stupid. Of course, I don't deny climate change because
Yeah.
the climate has always been changing, but it's pretty stupid of them to assume that there is apparently no natural climate change, but everything has to be man-made.
Right.
Why is the climate stagnant all of the sudden? And only because we do our activities, only that's the only reason why the climate is changing. So that is pretty easy to debunk, I think, in my estimation, and you can have easy discussions about this topic. But with the coronavirus, I feel like there is even more fear because we look at people as the virus. We we can't even have really social interactions anymore.
Yeah.
Um, we look at other people as if you take off your mask, you are a threat to me as a human being, my life. And that, I think, that's horrible to think about.
Yeah. It's
Like
the ultimate fear.
when
You
you
know,
step into a
it,
supermarket and you don't wear a mask, everyone will judge you, and
yeah,
everyone will think you're basically into
the
to
devil.
shoot up the place. Yeah,
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 yeah, exactly.
and that is really sad.
Yeah, I
With
agree.
climate change, obviously, you could also draw a comparison and say that CO2, we breathe out CO2, so it's very similar in a way. But nobody looks at someone else and says, "Stop breathing because of
Stop
CO2
breathing.
emissions." Yeah,
It's your fault. You're
fortunately, we're not there yet. But they
yet.
did it with the virus. Now
Yeah,
you breathe out the virus.
right.
And so, like I said, this climate change denier thing, I first of all, I hate the association because it obviously it's meant to associate you with Holocaust deniers, and I think it's really awful to put those in the same basket.
Yeah,
Um,
they should never be.
yeah, obviously. And now we've got COVID deniers. Obviously, we've got hashtag COVID idiots, but also
Hmm.
COVID deniers. And that to me is a more difficult issue. And I asked you before this interview if we could maybe address this topic, because I think it is
Of
very
course.
important to understand internationally what really is at the core of the coronavirus. And it is extremely difficult to talk about this topic, especially on YouTube, because you will get censored. You're not even allowed to question, to criticize the World Health Organization, masks, and vaccines, obviously.
In fact,
All of those,
I did
yeah.
that 2 days ago, and YouTube gave me a warning and removed my video
Oh,
because
yeah.
studies are coming out that it's the obese, the most obese are the people that are being hospitalized. It's the people
Mm-hmm.
that are old that are being hospitalized, and young humans are really not at risk of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Another article came out yesterday saying the CDC admitted the flu is deadlier to young humans than the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So why are young people being and this is what my video was about. Look, if you're young and healthy, why are we being forced to take this vaccine? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
just it's a question. And it was they were like, I don't remember exactly what they removed it for, but it's like that was the main point of that video.
And now critics will say, but we're not being forced to take it. But
Yes.
yeah, eventually that's, yeah, if you can't like travel anymore, if you're not allowed to do anything productive in your life anymore, if you don't get the vaccine, then yeah, basically that's implicit force.
Exactly.
But the reason why this topic is so important to me is, so I started working with some Austrian medical experts a couple of months ago, and at first I myself was extremely skeptical of everyone who criticized the coronavirus and the lockdown measures, for example, because I myself was in a very bad state of health, and I was terrified that I was going to catch the coronavirus. And so I was basically on the side of the people who called the skeptics COVID deniers. How could you do that? There are people dying. And how can you not wear a mask just because, I don't know, just because you want to be an obnoxious human being and trigger everyone? But then I looked into the science, because I thought to myself, okay, you did the same thing with climate change. You used to be a climate change alarmist. You used to be one of those activists at school, basically. And you had to look into the science to really dig deeper into what's going on. And I did the same for the coronavirus. And I was shocked, to say the least, to find out that it's not just the coronavirus, but they have created a recipe for pandemics forever. So this is not going to be over with the coronavirus. And it did not start with the coronavirus. We had the swine flu, we had the coronavirus pandemic in 2003. And every virus we ever had, every outbreak, HIV, measles, all of those are based on the same fundamental flaw in the initial study, the John Enders paper that came out in 1954. And so this is why it's so important to me to talk about this at its core. And
wait, what's that study about? What does that study say?
Yeah, let me explain. So I will try to explain this in simple terms. Let's start with, how is a virus even defined? So a virus is defined by its genetic material that is encapsulated in some kind of shell. So with the coronavirus, it's this crown that we see everywhere. And it's either DNA or RNA. In this case, the coronavirus, it's RNA. And it has a very specific sequence of genetic material, obviously. And so if you want to characterize the coronavirus and, of course, develop a test to detect it in a person, you first have to identify this sequence. So you need to know what this genome looks like, what it's made up of. So naturally, what would you do? You would isolate the whole virus, the whole genome, and then, basically have a look at the individual nucleotides that make up this strand. I like to compare this to Lego bricks. You probably know those.
Love Legos.
Children's toys. Yeah, perfect.
Children's toys.
Perfect. Yeah, for everyone. Yeah, I think those are a perfect analogy, because so we've got this genetic strand, this genome, that is basically just a ton of Lego building bricks, and you need to know exactly in what order they are, so you can then develop a test and make sure that what you find in people is actually this exact genome. What makes this virus disease-causing is that the genome is different from everything that you have in your body. So it's not endogenous. It comes from the outside. It's a particle that comes into your body, and then it releases its genetic material into your cells, and that's what makes you sick. That's the idea behind it. Yeah. So obviously what we need to do to make sure that what we find in the sample, so for example, they started with a lung sample, you could just say snot. It's basically just snot. When you take the sample of snot, you have to make sure that what you find in there, this viral material, that it's actually harmful, that it's actually harmful viral material. Because what if it's just, harmless RNA? Because we have tons of RNA material in our cells anyway. And So what they do is and this is basically what happened in this first study, this John Enders paper as well. They took this, they take the snot, and then there's tons of RNA in there, and you don't know what of it is viral and what isn't.
Okay.
Then they take so-called in vivo cell cultures. So they basically take cells from monkey kidney cells.
Okay.
And then they put the snot in the kidney cells, and they also add antibiotics and cow bovine serum to basically remove everything that is non-viral. That's the idea behind it. And then they see that the cell dies. Those kidney cells, they die because they put the snot in there. So they say, because there is a virus in the snot, that's what kills the monkey cell. And here's a huge problem. This is what basically destroys everything we've ever learned about virology. So this is going to be a pretty bold claim, but they never performed any control experiments. And like I said, they added antibiotics and this bovine serum. What if it's the bovine serum and the antibiotics that kill the cell and not the snot? Maybe there is no virus in the snot. And it turns out then later other people performed control experiments, independent researchers. And so what you have to do is you have to take a healthy sample and put healthy snot in the cell culture, and add the antibiotics and the bovine serum again, and the cell dies again.
Interesting.
So it's the antibiotics.
That's been controlled. So they actually have tested
that has been controlled. Yeah, but not but like I said, not the officials, if you will. So they still rely on this John Enders paper, and this is still how they take photos of the virus. So when you look at a photo of the coronavirus, what you see is protein aggregates that form because the cell was treated with antibiotics and bovine serum. So this is probably a reaction of the cell because it's fighting against the stuff that is put in there, and it's not the virus, alleged virus, the snot itself that kills the cell.
And the snot is that human from humans? So they'll take it from humans that they're trying to test and see whatever virus is in the snot.
Yeah, so they take an unhealthy patient, they take the snot, and they say there's a virus in there. That's my assumption. And then they see that it kills the cell, but it doesn't actually, like I said. And then they just claim that it was the virus that kills the cell. Yeah, it may or may not. But like I said, the control experiments, they should have performed control experiments, and they never did.
And the control experiments kill the cells also.
Yes, exactly. So there is no proof that the snot can kill the cell. That there's actually a virus in there that kills the cell.
Interesting.
So what is entirely possible is that what they characterized as the coronavirus is actually just normal human RNA. And what makes people sick is not a particle from the outside, not a virus, and it's not transmissible, but it's actually just you being unhealthy. It's toxicity. It's if you can become sick, obviously, if you breathe in unhealthy particles, if you eat the wrong thing. There are tons of ways you can get sick. But what if there are not actually viruses that are transmissible? What if all of those photos that we see, everything we've ever been taught about them, is not actually real? And then, of course, there are experiments about how this virus is infectious and transmissible. So what they did, they took monkeys again.
Of course.
And those are awful experiments.
I'm sure
they drilled holes into the monkeys' heads, and then they took snot from unhealthy patients again, put it into their heads, and saw that the monkeys died.
My goodness.
And then they said it's because of the virus.
It has nothing to do with the hole being drilled in their head?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
What?
It made them sick and they died.
This is horrible.
And that's how they proved virus transmission.
I mean, to me, from what I've learned, it's if you're not a healthy human being, you tend to succumb to diseases. But if you're healthy, you tend to beat it. The human body is an amazing thing.
Exactly.
And I'd like to trust mine. If you drill a hole in my head and you put some snot in my brain,
Probably not too good.
I'm probably not going to handle it too well.
Yeah.
Goodness sakes.
So there is such a
Yes.
thing called the Robert Koch postulates.
Okay.
And those are basically rules for how you validate a pathogen and that it's transmissible, that it's infectious. It's very simple. It's basically just you have to take an unhealthy patient, then you take the sample from them, snot, and then you put it into an unhealthy patient, a healthy patient, and you have to see that they develop the same symptoms as person number one. Obviously, it's not very easy for ethical reasons to perform such experiments.
Right.
But those Robert Koch postulates, the Robert Koch Institute themselves, we asked them, we sent letters to them, emails, and asked them, are they still relevant? And they said, yes, they still apply. But the virus has never been isolated. It has never been truly isolated. And I will get to that.
You're talking about
afterwards.
COVID-19
I'm
right now.
talking about COVID-19. It has never been isolated in its full genome, which I said at the start, you have to isolate the whole genome.
That's a surprising fact that I didn't know.
That is very, very important to understand this, because many people will claim that it has been isolated, and even the studies will claim that it has been isolated. But I will talk about that in a second, what they mean by isolated.
Yeah.
Because they have completely corrupted the definition of isolated. It's not what you think it is. It has never been isolated the way it should have been. Like I said before, what they find, they're only proof experiment. There are no control experiments for it. What was I getting to? What's the next step?
You were talking about, I think is it some sort of study that and that the genome has never been isolated. And what
I think I'm just going to get to the next part, which is how does the PCR test then work? What do they identify? Yeah. So PCR method is it's polymerase chain reaction. You've probably heard of it somewhere. It's very simple, actually. So something called what's the English term? Gel electrophoresis, something like that. This method is basically they take the genetic material. You can take any kind of genetic material. PCR method does not just work for viruses. And PCR is basically just multiplying genetic material, because you can, the idea is that you detect this genetic material that you identify beforehand. So you know beforehand what it looks like, whatever you're looking for. Let's say you're looking for a virus in a sample, and then you have the PCR primers, which are like magnets that bind to the end parts of the virus. So the magnets have to know beforehand what the end parts look like. So I'm speaking in metaphors, basically. But the PCR test has to know beforehand what it's looking for. And so you have to calibrate the PCR test yourself, in speaking metaphors once again. But then what happens is with the PCR method, you first of all, you have to transform the RNA that you're looking for, the genetic material, into DNA. And so RNA is basically just one strand and DNA is two. We all know this, this concoction of DNA. And then it's torn apart by the PCR method, and then we basically grow new genetic material, new strands to this individual strand. So now we've got 4, right? And we repeat this in many cycles, and so we get more and more, and it increases exponentially, because in the beginning we do not have enough genetic material to detect it under microscope, or basically that's the method I was talking about. The gel electro, I've heard somewhere here. So it's basically put into an electric field, and then the smaller particles, they travel faster, and bigger particles travel slower. And so that's basically how you identify which particles you are putting through this electric field, and that's how you identify what you have in there. But the PCR method basically is just amplifying the genetic material. And it does not tell you whether what you are testing for is harmful. And this is very interesting. Kary Mullis was the inventor of this method. And he said, before he died, because he died in 2019 of pneumonia, he said that people were abusing his method, because it's not supposed to be a test. It's not supposed to look for something harmful, a virus, a disease. It's just meant to multiply genetic material. And he got really upset when people used this PCR method to test for HIV. He said that explicitly, the inventor of this method.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then it goes further than that. So who developed the PCR test for the coronavirus specifically? That was Professor...
Hold on. My question is, how do they even have a test for it if they don't even know what to look for? If they haven't figured out the exact genome
and this
for
is the key point I'm going to get to now.
Okay.
The developer of the PCR test for the coronavirus was Professor Christian Drosten. He's very famous virologist in Germany.
Okay.
And you can find his paper, the first publication for the PCR test. He developed it 3 days after the first reports about the coronavirus came out. And it's only based on social media reports. And it says that in the study. We only relied on social media reports and we did not isolate the virus.
What?
It says that in the publication. Yes. But
that sounds
now
like
it gets
joke.
really interesting. Yeah. And now it gets really interesting. This is basically my favorite part. How did they construct the coronavirus? And why do they say that they isolated it? They did not. What they actually did is called virus sequencing. And it's, once again, and this is why it's so beautiful. The coronavirus fairy tale and the climate change fairy tale, once again, they are working with computer models.
Of course.
Because what they do is the following. They take the snot sample and they have tons of RNA in the snot sample. And then the computers rule out everything that is human. So let's get to the Lego analogy again. We have tons of those Lego bricks. You get a ton of them. And then somebody tells you, so with those bricks, you can build a house. And the house is the virus. But we don't want a greenhouse. So we take out everything that is green, all the green bricks, because they are human, they are not viral. And then with the rest of whatever remains, all of that is viral material. All of that is house material. With that, we build the house. But imagine you have this huge pool of Lego bricks and you only take out the green ones. You only take out what the computer or what we humans know is already human. Don't you think that you could just as well build maybe an airplane with the rest? Maybe something else entirely? Why does it have to be a house? And this is really important because they have a blueprint. The blueprint is the 2003 coronavirus, a harmless bat virus. And so basically they have their recipe, their blueprint, basically their building instructions, their Lego instructions that already tell them what they are looking for. They already had this bat virus. And now
who's to say that one wasn't just them?
Exactly, it's based
putting
on
the
the
bricks
same
together.
chain reaction.
Right.
It's a huge chain reaction that goes back to the Enders paper. Ever since they started working with those computer models, it always goes back to the same root thing. And so they have their it's the so-called alignment, which they are now constructing. So basically the blueprint for the coronavirus. And so now they take all their pieces and try to build this bat virus, the house that they already have there. But what they then found is that it's not exactly the same house. So there are differences between the house they are building now. They can't make exactly the same house as the old coronavirus. How many differences are there? Apparently, it's only about 80% accurate. And that is a huge problem.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Yeah, that is a huge difference because the difference between humans and chimpanzees, for example, is, 98%? They are 90% the same. Yeah, exactly.
Us and bananas are like 99%.
So 80% is nothing.
Yeah.
So who's to say that what they are building there is actually a coronavirus and actually harmful just because they had their instructions there? Maybe it is just microbial RNA that is completely harmless. And now this alignment, what they built in their computer, consists of about 30,000 nucleotides, so individual Lego bricks, basically.
Okay.
And the individual strands that they find, the fragments of already pieces of Lego that are already pieces together, are about 25 nucleotides long. So imagine the comparison: 30,000 build up of those tiny fragments.
Yeah.
So they really did a lot of work themselves. And what they should have done, like I said, is they should have had this entire genome of 30,000 nucleotides in their entirety. That's what you call isolation, not what they are doing. What they are doing is just building something based on instructions that they already had in mind.
Right.
Yeah. And that's how they then built developed the primers for the PCR test.
Yeah. Now I'm taking a step back and looking at what they're doing now, which is saying, take the vaccine. And it's like, if what you're saying is true, which you obviously are very knowledgeable about this, how can they have built a vaccine based on that information? Like, and claim that it's going to work?
Yeah. Basically, what a vaccine does, vaccines are the idea that you expose a human being to slow poison. And so you become more resistant because you expose the person to a less severe virus.
Okay.
But this is not good. This is not good at all. This can destroy your, what you might call, immune system or your body long term. This can have long-term effects. What you do is you can suppress symptoms. So for example, we all know measles. We all know that you get very prominent symptoms. Or the coronavirus, you can develop flu symptoms, or with any flu, basically. Yeah. So maybe you can suppress those symptoms for a while, but it can have very detrimental long-term effects on your body. And maybe those symptoms, when your body expresses symptoms, it's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you are. It's not the indicator itself that you are sick. It means that your body is fighting against that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you can have a very simple analogy. Why are you coughing if you are a really heavy smoker, for example? Because your body is trying to release those toxins. Yeah. So if you take cough syrup now and you stop coughing, are you going to be cured from the negative effects of smoking?
No, the toxins that you're putting in there are going to stay in there then.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if you're just suppressing symptoms, it doesn't really cure you, but you can say on paper that it cured you because you're no longer coughing. It cured your cough, yes, but it didn't really heal you from the actual problem. Even worse, because now you might suffocate. Now the toxins are staying inside. That's how vaccines work.
It's crazy, man. This is, and then the whole mask thing. What do you think about masks?
What do you think I think about masks? I would, honestly...
Do you want me to answer that, or you want to go?
In an experimental setting, I would let someone spit at me who was tested positive for COVID-19 and prove to them that I'm not going to get sick because of that. In an experimental setting, I don't want to challenge anyone.
People start spitting on you on the street.
Yeah.
You did it. You asked for this. Well, of course, that's them admitting they have coronavirus. I mean, I got this article here that I was just reading today. Hold on one sec. And it's Fauci and Rand Paul basically arguing about his whole, because Fauci, I'm assuming you know who Dr. Fauci is in America.
Yeah, sure.
He's flip-flopped back and forth for a year straight. Wear a mask, don't wear. Well, first it was don't wear a mask. Now wear a mask. Masks don't do anything. Now you need to wear 2 masks. Vaccine is not going to do anything. Everyone needs to be vaccinated, but it's not going to work anyway. Wear a mask, and still we have to be locked in. It's just like, so, I mean, Rand Paul basically ripped him up. He's like, you're telling everyone, this is a quote from him right here. He says, you're telling everyone to wear a mask. If we're not spreading the infection, isn't that just theater? You have the vaccine and you're wearing 2 masks. Isn't that theater? And of course, Fauci just says, here we go again with the theater. He doesn't actually respond. And he says, I agree with that, that you very likely would have protection from wild type for at least 6 months if you're infected, Fauci said. but then pointed out there's no protection from some of the more infectious variants, like the one first found in South Africa. The variant are a good reason for masks. So he's basically saying, yeah, well, now there's like 6 different COVID 19s that are spreading and changing. And so,
Do you
I
want me
mean,
to explain mutations?
well, I want to, yeah, I do. I want to go
I
back
think
to
that's
what you
important.
already
Why are
said
there mutations?
earlier. You
Yeah.
said they designed this to last forever.
Yeah.
They
Because
want
they can,
this
whenever they
forever.
want. Yeah. And this is basically referring to mutations as well.
Sure, yeah, go for
So
it.
what they did is they then created a new. They basically did this whole procedure with the alignment again, the blueprint thing, what I just talked about, the computer models.
Right.
So they just took a different patient this time, and obviously,
Yep.
we don't all have the same kind of RNA in our snot.
Right.
So this time they had a different set of Lego bricks.
Yeah.
And so they constructed something that was slightly different.
Of course.
And then they called this, oh my God, we have a mutation.
Fear.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
That
seeing.
proves even more
Gosh.
that it's probably just human RNA. And
Yep.
here's something, this is a key fact basically. The PCR test, like I said, it's basically just for multiplying genetic material.
Okay.
And it's done in cycles. So because you want to have a certain amount of genetic material so you can see it under the microscope. And it takes about 35 or more cycles to see anything if the person is supposed to test positive.
Okay.
But when do you make the cutoff? When do you say, okay, now we've got enough cycles?
Right.
And that's arbitrary, or at least there are many laboratories that make the cutoff at different amounts of cycles. And this is very important because after a certain amount of cycles, something like over 40 cycles, the test is useless because everyone tests positive. And what does this mean? This means that everybody, even healthy people, seem to have a certain amount, a tiny amount of this type of RNA in their body. So does that mean it's not harmful? Does that mean it's not viral and from outside, but it's actually endogenous?
Yeah.
Because everyone seems to have a little bit of it inside of them. Yeah.
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
So if they test everyone, everyone's got COVID.
Yeah.
So if everyone has COVID, then we're good.
If they use too many cycles, then yes.
Gosh, man. Texas is open to 100%. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
They said, we're opening. No more mask mandates. Congratulations, Texas. You're free. How's it like over there in Germany?
Bad. It's bad. Now they are slowly opening things up again, but it's always a back and forth, and it's completely arbitrary. And now, for example, if you want to go shopping, you have to online get a ticket for the individual shops. I really don't care about all of that lifestyle. I live my own life. I go everywhere with my bike basically, and so it doesn't really interest me what's open and what's not open. I would like to go back to the gym, but yeah, all of that I don't want to rely on things opening up again, because I know that maybe this might go well for me in the start. Maybe I can go back to the gym soon, but then they will close things again, or they will require you to get tested or even get the vaccine. And I don't want to get tested because I don't want to be part of a statistic that is based on fraud. I don't want to be a human global experiment. Thank you.
Neither do I. And it does feel like that's what it is.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, let's put this aside. Let's put this all aside. I mean, you obviously are an activist on certain levels, but what do you want to do? What do you do for you? Like what is your life about that you want to do? You know?
Yeah, well, honestly, this is really exciting for me, and I've always been super interested in everything related to science, and opening people's eyes to the truth is what is my high. Yeah, it really
I know
is
that feeling.
what makes me really happy, and
yeah,
honestly, I am kind of enjoying it. So doing this right now is amazing for me. Public speaking is amazing for me. In October, for example, I was invited to the German parliament to give a speech there about this exact topic.
Nice.
And it kind of went viral in Germany. It got something like 420,000 views, and then it was completely shadow banned. So now you can only find it if you have the link.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's my entire name is shadow banned. My YouTube channel is shadow banned, and if you Google me, I don't care, because in the end, the truth is going to come out either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those lies are not going to last forever, but it's really important that we, yeah, like I said, try to, yeah, this is my mission, if you will, or what I like to do the most. Breaking down really complex topics for people who just don't have the time to look into it.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
they try to deceive you with all those studies, and then there are so many difficult terms in there. Who's going to understand that? Who wants to read that? Nobody.
Right.
And so once you understand it a bit more thoroughly, it becomes much easier to read those studies. And now, with a
And
with a
harder for
more
them
clear
to
mind,
manipulate you.
yeah, exactly. But I would never just, if somebody asks me about this topic, then I'm going to explain it to them the way I just explained it to you, not just send them tons of studies and then tell them just
Go
read it.
read.
It's pretty
Read
obvious
it
in there.
yourself.
The lies are obvious in there, yes, but
Yeah.
only if you understand something of it.
Right.
Another study that's also interesting, that I get sent a lot when people try to debunk me and tell me, but yes, we have proven transmission, is there is a study with mice where they showed that they exposed mice to the coronavirus allegedly, and then they all lost weight. First of all, losing weight is not necessarily a symptom of COVID-19.
Random.
Yeah, they didn't start coughing, the mice. And obviously you can say, but there are mice, maybe they don't express the same symptoms.
Right.
But secondly, what's also very interesting, and that is kind of hidden in the study, those were genetically engineered mice. And they said in the same study, the same thing did not work with normal wild mice. They did not get sick. Isn't that interesting?
Everything I find out about it, it's just like,
Yeah.
look, I know it exists. You know, I know COVID is a thing. I'm not saying it doesn't, never said that, but it's every single thing I'm finding is that it's just not as bad as they're saying. They fear what this is. It's pretty insane how obvious they are
And where
about
did the
wanting
flu
us to
go?
fear it. Where did the
Why
flu
does
go?
nobody have the flu anymore?
Why aren't people talking about heart disease? You know, and how much heart disease kills almost 1 million people per year. I think it's like 650,000. Excuse me, almost. That's a lot of people, and they're saying they're making a big deal. And this is just America and just in the States. I don't know about the statistics elsewhere in the world, but I tend to look up the statistics here. But they're claiming 500,000 people have died from COVID, and it's like, okay, well, that sucks. But then look at the flu numbers and how they're gone, and how heart disease have significantly been reduced, and in direct correlation to the amount of COVID deaths. It just nothing adds up.
And the reason why this is so important, to me especially, is because I see myself as an activist, especially for younger people, and I see the suicide rates and the mental health just dropping.
Oh my goodness.
Suicide rates skyrocketing.
Yeah,
in Las Vegas,
it's very
I think
scary.
they had to open up the schools again because the suicide rates were so high that they just couldn't do it anymore. They couldn't
have a study
justify it anymore. And it's so terrible because obviously even opening up the schools is not going to prevent those children from being completely depressed.
More COVID suicide than COVID deaths in kids. This was just released yesterday, and it's bonkers. I mean, kids are being deprived their childhoods because of a disease that they don't need to fear. They have nothing to fear. It's like, it's not killing them. They're good.
Yeah. If I was going to school now and I didn't know the truth behind all of this, my motivation for everything would be just completely wiped out, because I wouldn't have any perspective anymore. What do I even want to do with my life now? What even are jobs that, yeah, can work in this disgusting new normal setting, in this
Yeah.
great new reset? All my plans that I was making for my life, what is my life about now? And I completely understand that so many students are struggling and so unmotivated, and especially this. I'm not against homeschooling. Actually, I think it's great, but
Me too.
this Zoom classes,
Yeah.
honestly, that's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. I mean, I have a little sister and I love her, and I see that she's just completely understandably not really motivated,
Yeah.
and she is enjoying her free time because she's not scared of the virus, because she obviously yeah, knows a bit about what I'm saying and I'm doing. But at the beginning she was just as scared, and yeah, obviously she's heavily influenced by her friends as well,
Yeah.
and so she was extremely worried. And one time she even had symptoms. It turned out she even got a negative test. Well, I think she wasn't tested, but the doctor told her it's probably not COVID. um, yeah, of course it isn't, but she was really worried that she had COVID, and not even because of herself, but because her friends were pressuring her and telling her, you have to get tested because it's completely irresponsible if you show up in school, when they didn't have lockdowns in school,
Right.
and you might get everyone else sick. And think about your grandparents, think about your father, and that's terrible to put this
Fear.
much, yeah, to put this much responsibility in a very heavy and bad way on children, to
Yep.
tell them you are killing everyone else because you're lucky you have a healthy immune system, you might survive this, but if you don't wear your mask, you might kill everyone else. That's
Yep.
disgusting. It's
Agreed.
basically the other way around. And with climate change, we blame the boomers, the older generation. They are killing the planet for the young people. And now it's the young people who are so privileged because they have a healthy immune system and they're getting everyone else sick. How dare you go partying during the pandemic?
Yeah.
I'm not even, the funny thing is, I'm the complete opposite of everything I not promote, but I don't have a problem with anyone going to parties and driving cars, flying, going on holidays. I do none of that. I am an extremely eco-friendly person,
Yeah.
if you will, in those terms. So yeah, it's most of the people who are activists for all of that stuff, they are the hypocrites.
Yeah, they probably drive cars.
Yeah,
They're yelling at you for being a
I don't
climate
even have a
a-
license.
and you're riding a bike around and it's like,
Exactly.
hmm.
Hmm.
They complain about this is what drives me nuts. They'll
Yeah.
like even Greta. We'll use her as an example because she's one of the more famous activists out there. She'll go to the UN and say how dare you, but then
Hmm.
never mention China at all and how they pump out and have zero environmental regulations when America has a lot of environmental regulations, so much that it's very hard to start any sort of business that uses factories or make any of this kind of stuff just because they've gone nuts in just layering on all the environmental protections that they put out there. And it's just like, why are you coming at us anyway? It's like we are trying to make a difference. We no, we are making a difference. We are moving towards a green future, which I think there needs to be some sort of change in the way we do things. So you mentioned that study in 1950, the 50s. What was the name
Yeah.
of that study?
John Enders study.
So
I'm not sure if
the
it's
John Enders.
publicly available, but I have the study. I can send you the link if you want. You can make it public.
Yeah, send it to me. So
Hmm.
but what that shows me, and this is something that I think is an issue. We've stagnated. We're fine with the way things are. People are comfortable with this. We're not advancing on all fronts, on the way that we understand viruses, on the way that we have engines. Like,
Hmm.
if people are complaining, why don't you work towards something that will help change it? And and I commend you because what you're doing is you're doing the research and you're spreading um the truth around. It's like we need to get people on the same level, so at least we understand stuff so that we can move forward instead of just people pointing at each other and blaming. The blame game, I'm so fed up with the blame game. Like,
Yeah.
let's move towards a solid future together. Let's build a new engine. If you don't like the way the energy is produced on this planet, solve something new, make something new. Stop complaining, stop yelling at someone else, become a new expert. And it's just frustrating, you know. I mean, I'm no
All of
expert.
this, yeah, all of this is just divide and conquer, and it's
There it is.
destroying the social fabric, and
Yep.
it's terrible.
Divide and
That
conquer.
is,
Let everyone
yeah,
fight amongst themselves. You know, now that we are angry at the old generation for ruining the planet, now we're angry at the younger generation for having healthy immune systems. And you know, now that you're killing the old people, though, so it's and then not to mention the whole race wars that is going on right now. The that is a whole nother conversation, but it goes hand in hand with all of this. It's like
yeah.
keeping us fighting instead of uniting as humans and moving forward to a new future, which I don't. There's so much to talk about there, but yeah, it's crazy. I no, but seriously, that when I asked you what do you want to do for you, and your response was, I want to keep helping people see the truth. We need more people like you in on this planet. That's the truth. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I actually have so I asked some people on my locals page, you know, what do you want to ask? And this is from Josh and Jesus. He goes by the grad, but he says, I know who Naomi is, and she now knows who I am. We chatted on and off on Instagram. Just tell her from me that she is extremely inspiring and that I wish I had half the fortitude she has when I was 19. She makes great content, and she has the potential for sure to be one of the next Brittany Pettibones. I don't know if you know who Brittany is, but she's very
Oh, she's
outspoken.
a friend of mine. Yeah.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And
Hmm.
yeah, and I feel that same way. We need more people, younger people, to grow up. You know, and uh, that there's a lot that means, but growing up is doing your own research, not blindly accepting what other people, you know, tell you. And so many people in this world are just blindly accepting truths that they're being told without even understanding what those truths are. So it's refreshing. Let's see. We got see, Robert Weil says, so what do you really think needs to be done to fix the weather without hurting folks' ability to live and make money for their families? I'm assuming he's talking about fossil fuels and all the jobs that go along with that.
We don't have to fix the weather. That's the whole point. Just let the climate
Yep.
do naturally its thing.
Well, let me bring this. Hold on. I have this, and you can explain this to us all. This is that you've posted this on Twitter a few times, this graph. Why don't you explain this to us? What is this here?
Yeah, I did this in response to someone who he's so there's a
Trolling
friend
you.
of mine.
Oh,
Yeah, basically,
okay.
I've got my own troll squad on Twitter.
Do you?
So really, there are people, many of them from Germany, and they have the notifications on for my posts, and I see them under every single one of my posts, and I don't
Of
ban them
course.
because I know then they will accuse me of violating free speech, and I don't really care. I mean, I do want to keep the discussion going, and I offered to some of them to debate me, and I am going to respond with the studies and the science.
Yeah.
So the person I was responding to in this one, he is a very adamant climate activist, and he does have lots of studies that he posts. So I do commend him for that. I
Yeah.
think if you are a climate activist, whatever, and you have studies, at least, yeah, even if I might disagree is a bad word because it's not about opinions, it's about science. But I can explain why those are debunkable, why they are not representative of the whole problem, for example. But I do think it's great if you actually do your research as a climate activist, and I will tell even climate activists, if this is what you're passionate about, I will, support your right to say that, but then have a discussion with me. And I hate it when there are just teenagers just shouting, listen to the experts, and not really doing their own research. So,
Sounds
like I said
familiar.
on Twitter, I was responding to this person with
Mhm.
this graph, and then he continued to challenge me. And now we
Well, who
basically,
cares about the trolls? Why don't you just tell, like, what is this? What
yeah,
is
what
this
is
here?
this?
Yeah.
This is showing that we have always had warming and cooling periods, And
Yep.
this is not a new thing. What the IPCC and other climate activists like to show us are graphs that start around 1856, I think. And before that,
Ah,
obviously, there are lots of warming and cooling periods. And so just cherry picking data is not representative. Um,
I have a book over here that Bill Gates told everyone to read. It's called How to Lie with Statistics.
yeah, good one.
And that's basically, I mean, this is right out of the book, show what statistics prove your narrative,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like that's not how it works. You got to show all of history. They're trying to get rid of history, and it's like this graph shows. I mean, I was a climate activist. I would say too. Like I've had arguments with my father about this, and we've joked about this recently because he mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, I guess you got me there because I was all about, moving to green. No, it's not that I'm actually not against moving to green energy because I
Yeah,
think that
same here. It's not a bad thing.
yeah, exactly. I feel like we could use like I feel like there's an engine out there that is a forever engine, like
Exactly.
something amazing that we haven't discovered yet, which will be so it'll shut everyone up. Like, all right, now you don't have to blame anything on humans because look, we have this green forever engine that works forever and it's amazing. Like, I know that sounds impossible, but whatever. And but to see something like this graph, I'll bring this back up again. It's like when you really look at the history of CO2 levels in the ice core data from Greenland, which is what this is here, it says, the green ice core data, because they see thousands and thousands of years when they pull these. It's actually a really cool thing that they do is when they cut that core out and they can analyze throughout the history of the years, like what the atmosphere was like. It's really cool. But it also shows that it was significantly warmer or well higher in temperature in many times over. It's kind of shocking. They claimed for how long if it raised 1 degree the humans are screwed. The world will be water world. Oh my goodness. I'm so sick of it.
Yeah. I hate the arrogance.
Yes.
I don't like it when they're so arrogant and think that just because you are anti-mainstream, that makes you the idiot, you
Yep.
know?
Well, you must be against all of these things that
Yeah.
will help humanity. It's like, why? Why you see, and that's what they do too. If you're not on their side, you are the enemy and you believe everything the enemy believes and you believe nothing that we believe. And it's so frustrating to see that. And it goes true with every single argument that anyone on the internet is out there screeching, and those trolls on your page, they probably believe that you believe nothing that they believe, and they
Hmm.
have to go and tell you whenever you post something that you're so wrong because obviously you don't believe anything they believe. So, and you're not allowed
And
to.
I mean, do you actually think that I want to destroy the planet? Do you
Yeah,
actually think that I'm just in
they
it
do.
for, I don't know, the money?
They do.
I don't make much
Definitely.
money because of this. I mean, if I wanted to make lots of money, I don't want to be like arrogant or condescending,
Oh
but
my gosh.
I am intelligent enough to, I could have gone to Cambridge or whatever. And yeah, I maybe become a lawyer, doctor, whatever, and
I can
make money
prove.
that way.
I can
This, what
prove they
I'm doing
want
right
this.
now, is a huge risk.
Yeah.
It's not fun being the right wing poster girl.
You have
And
fact checks
then there are
about you.
people who, yeah, and
You
I know.
have smear
And
pieces about you. You admitted that you're taking money from what was the I don't remember the
yeah, so I
what
was
is this
working with the
place?
Hutton Institute
Yes.
for 3 months last year, and it was an
How
extremely
dare
just
you?
average salary. And I lost way more money than I made there because I then had to well, I'm currently suing the German state media authorities, which is a whole nother thing because they wanted me to take down some climate change related videos. Yeah, I explained this many times on my channel as well, and this lawsuit is still going on because it takes ages, obviously, especially
Of
during
course.
COVID. But now my mom is on it because she is a lawyer, and I at first I had different lawyers in Germany, but now I put her back on the case because I think we can work very well together and really highlight what really is at the core of this lawsuit, which is they want to violate my free speech. It's not because, well, they claimed that they wanted me to take down the videos because they were sponsored by the Heartland Institute, which is completely ridiculous because they had nothing to do with the Heartland Institute. I produced the first video in question, for example. I produced it. That was a speech in Germany that the Heartland Institute didn't even know I was going to do. And I planned it before I worked with the Heartland Institute. So, like I said, the money that I made there is nothing and really irrelevant, to be honest. And I
Not to
don't even
them.
care.
Not to them.
Yeah,
That proves their
yeah,
narrative that
because
you're being
yeah,
paid.
exactly, and that's why I left. That's why I left. I said it's not worth it to me. I'm going to be independent again. I only rely on voluntary donations right now. So
Yeah.
Patreon, PayPal, that's all I do, and yeah, I'm okay with that because first of all, I know that I'm intelligent enough that whatever happens, I'm going to find a way to market myself. Also, because I'm now kind of known, and because I know that I have enough skills to always survive somehow.
Yeah.
And because I have an amazing group of friends, and that I
Awesome.
think is really, yeah, what keeps me going. I have such amazing people working with me. Those people from Austria. It's it's not just a working relationship. We are like a family, to be honest. And scientists are nerds, and and it's
Yeah,
so
they are.
beautiful. Yeah, and it's so beautiful when one of us releases an article, for example, on Telegram, which is like another social media app, and we all congratulate him because wow, you broke down this complex topic once again for everyone, and you did so much research again. It makes so much sense now. So yeah, it's so wonderful when everything falls into place and everything makes sense. And yeah, to just fangirl over science is a really beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
I'm not worried that anyone will let me down because I know enough people who are extremely successful because they became very successful because of their activism. And so I know that they will never let me down. And I mentioned that I have some health issues myself and have been struggling for a long time. And yeah, I have amazing people around me who say that they will do anything I need, help me out of this situation, because especially with the whole COVID thing, the pandemic,
Yeah.
obviously it's much more difficult to get help or to be taken seriously by doctors when you have very different views on many things. And yeah,
True.
but
Well,
I'm hopeful, like I
I
said.
want to use this moment to just say if you would like to follow her, I have your Twitter feed and your YouTube channel in the description below. Anything you want me to add, I'm more than willing to add. I wasn't
Maybe
sure
just my website. So
what
if
is
I
your
get
website. I'll throw it
banned
on there
on,
right now.
it's just naomiseibt.com.
Oh, easy to find. Okay.
Yeah. So if I get banned on YouTube or whatever, I guess I'll announce it there. My website is not super structured or anything, but if anything happens, that's where to find me, I guess. Yeah, and there are all my social medias linked there
All
as
right, have
well.
it.
I am very active on Telegram, but I'm only active in German there because yeah, 90% of my audience is German on Telegram because
Okay.
I started there with some German friends. But yeah, like I said, I'm on Twitter, and on YouTube is completely English, and that's why I was so excited about this interview, because all of our research that, like I said, is very much mm, not popular, not very known
Yeah.
internationally. What I was talking about, because I know that there are skeptics who say maybe it's the virus is not as severe,
Yeah.
maybe it's very harmless, and we can come to an agreement, basically a compromise, less lockdowns, less masks, maybe not necessarily taking the vaccine, but all of that is not enough because, like I said, they have a recipe to reproduce this pandemic whenever they want. Take
Yep.
snot from a healthy person, claim there's a new virus, start this whole thing over again. Bill Gates already said, Fauci already said, there are more pandemics to come in the future and we need to prepare.
Yep.
Nothing is ever going to be the same. We need the great new reset, and we are entering a new normal.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. Those guys, especially Bill Gates, who has openly talked about population control and what that means, and then the whole fact of governors and politicians have emergency powers when they have emergencies like a pandemic that aren't normal, that gives them more power, and they want to keep that power, and they're not letting go of this power that they have, and it's pretty crazy. So. Well, I've got a lot of super chats. Thank you all for super chatting and hanging out with us today. I'm sure people have a lot of questions, so I'm just going to start reading them. Mark G says Greta turned 18 and the Democrats are no longer attracted or interested in her. Yeah, I don't know if that's true. I mean, I still see people using really that piece about the Indian farmers where she accidentally posted that. It was just kind of like, ooh, you are admitting that you're a puppet. So
spicy.
Yeah.
And right now the pandemic is the main issue. So
right.
I think
I'm sure she'll be back.
Many climate activists are really upset, and I see them. But we still need to strike. The climate change problem is not going away because of the pandemic. And then they did online strikes and now mask demonstrations, protests in the streets. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
This is the Washington Post says we be dragging fools through the mud. It's from the Washington Post. I mean, this is a super chat. It may not be the official Washington Post one. Who cares? Whatever.
Who knows?
The left says we got schooled and spanked by a 19-year-old. Oof. Yeah.
I'm 20.
Oh, get your facts right, left. She's 20. American B Savage says, "Can we see ID before Potato sniffs her?" Oh my goodness. I apologize for my president right now. I did not vote for him.
Okay.
Are we just a big joke over there? Can I ask? I mean, is America just a big joke to you guys? To anyone on the outside? You're on the outside looking over here. So what?
Honestly, America is a big joke to Germany because they voted for Trump. Sadly. Oof. Yeah. Because
well, Germany, I mean, because I've been to Europe.
Germany is so far gone.
Oh, is it? That doesn't surprise me.
Socialism.
Well, I've been to Europe many times over the past 15, 20 years. Actually, I've been back and forth, and I know the news that they get is based on the news that people like the mainstream media here, which I know from the past year alone is so skewed. Just like you said, the Germany is far gone. The mainstream media here is so far gone. It's insane.
We have to pay for our mainstream media. I can pay for the slander articles and TV representations of myself. Yeah.
You have to pay for it.
Yeah, it's called GZ taxes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, people
so it's part of taxes. So you pay
it's part of taxes. Yeah.
For state
and my
propaganda.
Mom actually has to pay twice because she has a radio in her car. So she has to pay for the radio in the car and for the TV.
What?
Yeah. Makes no sense.
All right. Well.
Because it's
something new.
Public education. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh.
Homeschooling is illegal in Germany.
I'm sorry, what? What now?
Homeschooling is legal in Germany. Yeah.
It's illegal.
It's illegal.
You're not allowed to teach your own children.
Yeah.
Okay, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. What is the charge? Like if you get caught?
I honestly don't know.
My goodness. Yeah, I couldn't do that. I'm going to be teaching my kids for sure. That's crazy. Impeach Biden now says, "I love you, Naomi," with a little heart emoji. Intellectual Iconoclasm says government-sanctioned science and facts is the new orthodoxy. Orthodoxy is dogma. Dogma is a component of religion. Government-sanctioned facts and enforcement violate the separation clause. I see what you're saying there. Yeah, I mean, they do.
And the phrasing is always very telling. I mean, they ask you, do you believe in climate change? Do you believe in the coronavirus?
Right, exactly. It's like, yeah, sure, I believe in it, but not what exactly the way you're
Hmm.
saying it, right? It's crazy. Hydra says confirmation bias is a phenomenon wherein decision makers have been shown to actively seek out and assign more weight to evidence that confirms their hypothesis. Yep, just like choosing what computer models to use,
Mm.
and what are the deciding factors that computer program will use for the outcome. Of course, they're going to
Or
want the
just
one
not performing any control experiments, just
exactly.
using those antibiotics and bovine serum, which kills the cell. And
Yep.
yeah, you could use anything else maybe, but
Well, I mean, if you inject bovine or monkey anything into a human body, guess what the human body's probably going to do? It's probably going to attack that stuff and try to kill it outright. And
yeah,
if you
that's
put
not
them in a
exactly what
petri
happened.
dish,
They didn't put that into people, but like in the petri
no,
dish,
right?
they
No, I know.
attacked the monkey cell. Yeah,
No, I'm just saying, like, what do you think's
yeah.
going to happen though? It's like they're going to
Mm.
attack each other because they're not the same. It's like, obviously both of them are seeing them as something that's a threat or something that's not
Yeah.
uniform with it. So that's crazy. Mark says patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter. Okay. Mark G says, Gutten up. Oh, dude, I can't read German. Oh my goodness. This is a Crigler coffee ad. So look, I would like, you know what? Let's see. Do I have is there a private chat? Do you see the private chat on the right? Just
No, I think I can't see anything.
so there's
Wait, there is something.
so I
Chat.
just wrote.
Guten Abend. Du bist. Okay, let me try to read it.
Okay, wait, hold on. You got to do it in some sort of like announcer voice, like, "Welcome. This is an advertisement for Crigler coffee." That's
But it's not. It's not.
do it in your own
It's
way.
someone who is trying to write in German, so it's not perfect
Oh,
German.
it's not
I
perfect
read it
German.
the way he said it, but it's not.
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
he
Wait,
says at
read
the
it
end, "My
through.
German is not very good, but I will try."
Okay.
Guten
Thank you.
Abend, so good evening. Du bist. I will say it correctly.
Yeah,
Du
do
bist ein
that.
schönes Mädchen, and then it says "Fighting Sims?" question mark. Du hast Greta vergleichen. What it probably means is you hate it when you're compared to Greta. Then you have to drink Crigler coffee. Okay. So you
Yeah.
have to drink your coffee.
Yeah.
Da musst du trinken Crigler Kaffee. Okay.
Thank you.
Die Kaffee
Very
das
nice.
gewogen nicht. I have no idea what you meant to say.
Google
Probably something
Translate
about
doesn't
waking
always
me up with
work.
a coffee. Probably something about trying to wake me up with a coffee.
Well,
And
Mark G,
then
thank you for the
and
attempt.
then my German is not very good. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And thank you, Naomi, for attempting to the Google Translate. That's funny. Mark Robichaud says, if the lockdowns disappointed me, they had road clear of traffic and governments did nothing with it. No much needed road upgrades. No, nothing. That's actually a good point. We could have at least upgraded all the roads, right? Yep. I think if governments are serious, then all government buildings should have solar panels for roof tiles instead of forcing restrictions on the people. I mean, it is all about the money, man. I mean, all.
But if they did that, then they will use tax money to do that. So
Yep.
not exactly an ideal.
That's a good point. She's got a point. Who do you think's paying for those solar panels? Governments just get money from the people, right? It's not about governments. It's about the energy sector. And we
Yeah.
have to if we really want change, then we have to advocate for the energy giants, the gas giants of the world to make it lucrative for them to convert to something different. And there will be jobs there. And it's like until then, no, they're not going to change. I don't know. It's all about the money, man. They're making too much money. So people are mad at the wrong group of people. Let's see. I can't really read your name. Can't Kill says, check out anthrax outbreak in Russia, thought to be a result of thawing permafrost, and what other ancient viruses are frozen under us. The first plague. I've read about this actually. They found a dead cow, preserved cow that actually still had all its skin, and I guess it had anthrax. There was like a mini anthrax thing that appeared from it. Who knows? I don't know. It's like that's something I think about a lot because of space. I love space. I really think
Mm-hmm.
about the future of humanity exploring space. I think it's a real thing.
Mm.
And there's I don't remember what show I was watching, but there's an infection that someone gets because it's an alien pathogen that they've never experienced before, and that's a very real thing to be aware of. So Mark says, want to stop climate change? Block out the sun and wait a few years, and bam, the climate will stop changing. Yeah,
Oh, that's not a good idea because that's exactly what Bill Gates is doing. He's trying
yeah.
to
What
block the sun now.
what is
They
that
want to
craziness?
they want to spray some stuff in the air that will block the sun rays somehow.
That's nuts.
That's
He's gonna kill us
vampire
all.
territory. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna kill us all.
Hmm.
Maybe he's actually a lizard person that lives underground. Hmm?
Yeah.
Conspiracy YouTube. I was just making a joke. Sorry. Disclaimer YouTube. It was a joke. Goodness. I'm like you probably think I mean you probably are shadow banned. I'm pretty sure I'm
Yeah.
shadow banned too because I talk out about a lot of things, the election mishaps. We'll just call
Hmm.
them mishaps with this ridiculous sham of the what 2020 was. My goodness. Let's see. Ribs Exposed says, I remember seeing you being interviewed by Carl Benjamin. It's nice to see you here. Right
Yes.
on.
Thank you.
Well, I'll take that compliment as well. Thank you. Mark says, eat the snot. No, thank you. I think I'm good. Super Guy says, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having Naomi on your show. She's a fantastic guest, intellectually brilliant. Keep up the great work, Adam. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, you are very knowledgeable. It's refreshing to see someone so young be as knowledgeable as you are. We need more people like you. We need people
That's
that
so
are
funny. Everyone seems to use the word refreshing with me.
but it is though because we think about well, I'm just going to say me. When I think about younger generations, there was a study that was looking at kids, teenagers in America, right? Asking them what do they want to be when they grow up, when they your future job, what do you want to do? I want to be famous, I want to be an influencer, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be a Fortnite star streamer. It's like those were like the top answers. And then go over to China and they asked teenagers out there and it was just like, I want to be a rocket scientist, I want to be a doctor that's going to solve this issue. And it's like, well, that's just one article I read, but it's so embarrassing because that's what I'm seeing nowadays. People are like, well, I just want to be famous. I just want people to follow me and have my follower count be bigger than all of my friends. It's just like, gosh, our you know, what is it? What am I trying to say? Like our priorities are just not
Yeah,
in
I
order.
think this is a big problem though, because I think they're all trying to find some kind of purpose, and that's
Boom.
exactly why they are doing their climate change
Yes.
activism and all of that, because they enjoy the
It's
virtue
something.
signaling. It gives them some kind of kick to, yeah, associate with the good ones,
Yep.
what the media says are the good ones, and
Yep.
yeah,
That made me think of
it's
that
their
when
way
you
of
were
finding
talking about
purpose.
the suicide rates popping up and like
Yeah.
people being depressed from not going to school. It's like people were already having an issue finding their purpose
Mm.
before the pandemic hit. And then the pandemic hit. And now you're not allowed to go see your friends, you're not even allowed to like be around your friends. I mean, we're social creatures. Human beings are community based. We got here because of community, because we were teaching each other, because we were retaining knowledge and passing it on to our community. Like that's why we are here. That's what brought us to have such amazing things like electricity or me being able to have an interview with someone on the other side of the planet. It's an amazing thing. But now but this is what I said earlier. We're stagnant. We're
Yeah.
comfortable here. We're not progressing anymore. We're fine with the status of what life is. It's crazy. So yeah, when I say it's refreshing and when others say it's refreshing, it's because they're worried about that generation, which you're a part of. You are, the up and coming generation to see someone your age, being so adamant about helping others, not just yourself. You're not even doing it for yourself. You said you like doing this because you feel other people need to take the red pill, which is essentially just opening your eyes and seeing the truth for yourself. That's my definition of the red pill. So everyone has their own definition of the red pill, but that's what I think it is. And that's what I said. We need more people like you.
Well said. Thank you.
And thank you for that super chat, super guy. I totally agree with you. Mark says, speaking of isolated, look over at Biden. Don't even get me started on
Hmm.
Biden. The God Pill says, are you at all interested in bringing me on the show for a GME AMC discussion? Yeah, possibly, God Pill. Thank you for that hefty super chat too, by the way. My goodness. I see you have another super chat right here. Another hefty super chat. Thank you so much, God Pill. Says, she is clearly extremely educated. I love how you guys focus on the edge and the details without disrespect. And I'm aware times have been very hard for everyone, but the cure is GameStop and AMC, and almost all other info is just a distraction. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's the cure, because this is what I say this a lot, because the problem, there's never just one answer to anything. Society is this like thousands of cog wheels, that have been rolling together and kind of shifting as we progress through time. And to say this one cogwheel is the answer, for all of the problems of humanity, it's kind of
Yes, honestly, my
I don't know,
advice to everyone is
short-sighted.
don't try to find hope in big solutions. Don't put your faith in anyone, a politician, a leader. There are no leaders whom you can trust more than yourself. So
Boom.
my advice is try to find freedom in your own life. Try to come together with your friends and family, and really don't let anyone take away your most personal freedom, because that's what's going to keep you going. Maybe you can't travel right now, but you can't do anything about that yourself if you're not a big activist, but you can make the most of your everyday life and try to maybe do your own activism within your family and with your friends. That's
Yep.
why I try to explain these things as simply as possible, so that you can talk about this with your friends. And then I get so many messages from followers and people who say, "But is this really going to do anything? Is it really enough?" And yes, it is. It is enough, because I do this as my job, so I can do a lot more. But you probably have your own job, and you're doing this private activism on top of that, and that's amazing. And it's really difficult to put yourself out there to any extent. I'm doing it this way, yes, but I risked everything, and you don't have to do that, because we need you. We need you as, yeah, essential workers, and by that I don't mean just what the government determines as essential businesses. All of you are essential.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's this horrible idea, this anti-capitalism notion that there are essential jobs and non-essential jobs, but that's just not true. Our entire social fabric and all of our progress depends on every single one of us, you. And so what you're doing, just by getting up every day and just doing your, not just your job, but just being a productive person, not being completely depressed, that's what's important.
Yep.
Your depression is understandable, yes, but that's what's that's the deterioration of the entire society. So that's I consider myself an individualist because of that, because I think all of us, we can all do our own part just by being productive, healthy human beings. If you take care of yourself, society is taken care of.
Well said. My goodness. That I wasn't expecting that, but you're absolutely right. I mean, we talked about these people that are seeking purpose, right?
Yeah,
They don't feel validated. They need to understand that they themselves are the ones that need to validate themselves.
yeah,
Don't virtue signaling. It's like, look, that's not a good look on anyone, because if you have those virtuous feelings, and you are innately like I mean this in the traditional sense, like a virtuous person, not someone that
yeah,
tries to project it on others and like prove to others that you're virtuous. I'm talking about the people that just act that way because it's real. Those people tend to value themselves. They tend to care about themselves and take care of themselves so that they can take care of others then easier.
your
It's like,
purpose is to be a good person. What
yeah,
you and I are doing is not more important, better than just being a good person, what everyone else is doing, just because we have a bigger platform.
Yeah.
Fame is not the end all be all. Money is not the
Exactly.
end all be all. Yeah.
Truth.
There's so much envy in this world. That's what socialism is completely based on.
Yep.
It's just envy. And they
Yep.
might
True.
claim that what they want is that they're just caring about people who have less. That's not true.
Right.
They care more about the differences between rich and poor than they care about the poor themselves.
Nailed it. Wow. Oh man, where were we here? Let's see. Jonathan says it's electrophoresis. Electrophoresis.
Yeah,
It's how
electrophoresis.
DNA tests get done. Ah, right on.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're talking about. The gel something, I think.
Yeah, gel
Yep.
electrophoresis.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just to separate individual parts of gene material.
Right on. Mark says humans are the disease. Beta on Twitter. Ugh. Yeah. Oh, you saying that's what the quote is from a beta on Twitter? Okay, I think that's what it is. The God Pill again says GME is GameStop, AMC is streamer and movie theaters. I guess that is for chat. Was chat asking for what GME and AMC were? Probably. Robert Wild says it's nice to see someone her age who loves science and knows that it is never settled and is always changing. May you both have a blessed night, Adam. Thank you very much, Robert. Always appreciate your support. And it was cute to see you. I think it was your niece who you were sitting with. I know you posted a picture of my locals. I thought that was a sweet picture and kind words to hear from you. Caleb says, this is the type of conversation that I could sit and talk about and actually learn. Have a beer on me with your guest. And Adam, have you seen the 300 plus arrests from the January 6th mishap? Media is silent, trying to arrest parents. It is ridiculous, man. What the whole January 6th thing. I mean, they don't even get me started on this. And I know you've had some words to say about it, because in your last live stream, you were talking about Twitter made you remove something, and you were talking about the January 6th thing, right? Was that right, or am I mistaken?
I'm not sure what. The main thing that was removed on Twitter that I wrote was something about the emergency rules that the government is implementing in Germany with regards to COVID-19, because I compared it to a law that Hitler used to gain power back in the Third Reich. And this is important because this law that we have now can violate your bodily autonomy. People can just test you whenever. It doesn't even have to be a doctor.
They could just stop you and test you.
Yeah, basically. And the police can come and raid your home whenever they want and check if you have any people hiding behind your bed, behind your closet. Basically, it sounds like you're hiding Jews in your home.
Yeah, I think it's safe to make that comparison, because that's ridiculous.
I checked afterwards, and it wasn't that what I was banned for. Oh no, you're right. Actually, what I was banned for, you are right. I was banned for 24 hours or something, for something related to election fraud. You're right. I was confusing those two, but I had two Twitter.
So they hit you multiple times, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing I was just talking about, the COVID thing, I was actually that time I was actually banned, or they deleted my tweet, at least in Germany. I think it's only not visible in Germany, because then someone commented and asked, "Do you have any proof for something that causes mass destruction to humans related to COVID?" And I only responded with vaccines, just the word vaccines, and I was banned for that.
Just responding with that.
And
oh my
about
goodness.
the Trump thing, yeah, exactly. What I did was, you saw that we tried everything, and eventually they banned Trump anyway, and we tried it with just being nice and hiding away, but eventually all you can do is you have to fight in the end. And then I made a second tweet, basically a threat, and I said, and obviously people are going to say that by fighting I mean violent protest or something like that, and that's not what I mean. So I explicitly said that in the second tweet. They banned me because of the fighting, because I was inciting violence.
That's
And
ridiculous.
I explicitly then stated that before I was banned, I said that by fighting, I mean, yeah, just raising your voice, being active that way.
Yeah. Wow. I still can't get over this law in Germany where they can just storm in your house whenever they want just to check if people are hiding. Like
Hmm.
that you do that's a major violation of your rights of like as a human being to have your own place. It's just I didn't know anything about this. Wow, that's crazy. Can you send me some info on that? Because I
Yeah,
kind of
sure.
want to
Hmm.
talk about that because
Hmm.
that's that's frightening. My goodness. All right, where were we here? Let's see. Robert Wiles again says, I made a comment that Eliza and Chrissy should both come on your show at the same time. When I was watching her stream last night, it got spicy, good way, in a good way. I laugh my butt off, and you would have to be blessed. Thank you so much, Robert. Again, always, your kind comments are always welcome. And yeah, both of those two are very spicy. They're I didn't watch their stream, but I saw that Eliza was on Chrissy's show again. So I'm sure I've had them. Well, I've hosted Eliza here, so I've spent some time with her. She's great, and Chrissy, of course, was on my show um, this week, last week. I don't know, but I can imagine it was spicy. Mark says viruses are great for rapid mutation. Um, I guess so. Yeah. Mark again says truth is all life is an experiment. I guess that's true, but we got to pick and choose what we actually choose to experiment with within life, right? And I don't want you experimenting on me. So let's see. Everyone is different, so everyone reacts to disease differently. Some people have bad reactions, some people have good reactions, some have no reactions. Interesting. This is obviously when we were talking about the different mutations of the virus.
Yeah, and I think what he means is that if you already have an impaired immune system and you are already, for example, not eating very well, then the
Yeah,
flu will hit you harder.
true. Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, and different people in different places on the planet eat different kinds of food.
Hmm.
Different kinds of bacteria in the different food. So their gut biomes are different. And it's like so. Of course, you test people in different areas too. You're going to get different types of stuff in those environments. So I mean, look at I don't know if you know this, but they if you drink the water in Mexico, they say don't drink the water in Mexico because they call it Montezuma's revenge. I don't even know if I'm allowed to even say that anymore. It feels so like someone's going to be upset about it, but whatever. It's what I grew up on. Like, and I've been to Mexico a few times, and it's like you're not supposed to drink water because in the water there's like bacteria that we're not used to, but they are, so they don't get sick. They can drink the water, but we can't. So, and it's just like that's just right across the border to our south. So I don't know. That's just one example that popped in my head there. Mark says, life is what you make it. Well, I do agree there. Let's see. Aaron Davis says, 3 for Dale. I'm not sure what that means. Cool. Well, thank you for that super chat. Oh, look, a bird says, did anyone else think she was a doctor or was it me? Naomi, you have great things ahead of you. Go to university and become a doctor. We need more smart doctors in the world. Well, I honestly,
That's
I think
nice, but I'm not going to university because I know the way they teach medicine there, and
good for you. Good for you.
I'm a university dropout.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you could do more good doing what you're doing, just
Mm.
being an outspoken activist, waking people up, convincing other people to be doctors or to be politicians that, will make a greater difference. So that's why, I mean, people have said to me, like, you should run. And I'm like, me in politics, like, I'd rather just, broadcast the truths that I'm finding and, help boost other people up. And as a society, I don't know. Let's see. We got some German in the chat. I haven't seen German in the chat before. It's cool. Let's see. Mark Robershaw says, we are a society that's terrified of death when it's a part of life. Instead of focusing the journey, we look at the end and scream out in terror. That's a good point, Mark. Yeah, we death is a part of life. I have lost very important people in my life, so I've I understand death, and it's always terrible and sucks, but it is a part of life, and it's the reason we need to worry about how good the journey should be, because death is inevitable. Yeah. Does Naomi identify as Germanx? Latinx or Latinx?
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I'm fully German.
Fully German Nix? No X, just German.
No X, just German.
Mark again says, have it. I have it, bro. Lots of fat people. Treadmills or bikes that generate power. You get paid what power you make, then we will all be fit AF. Am I right? I mean, maybe, but there is that Black Mirror episode where that whole society was built on people, how much energy they did with the treadmill or the bikes. I don't know if you saw that episode. Do you ever watch Black Mirror? Did you see that
Me?
episode?
I don't watch any shows.
Right
Don't
on,
have
right
the
on.
time.
Good for you. Good for you. Fantastic Mr. Knox says the left, including the elite and the rich who complain that people aren't doing enough to live the green life, aren't practicing what they preach because they don't care about that, because it's not about that. It's about control. What do you think?
And virtue signaling. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that may be more what it is. Look how virtuous I am. Now keep me in
Yeah,
office.
for the, I guess, lower level people, just regular climate activists, people on Twitter, they're just all about the virtue signaling. That's not control, but the people in charge who promote this at the core, yes, that's about control.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's just what level of if you're part of the elite or you're just part of like the lower class. And by lower class, I mean not the elite. I'm sure that's the way they look at it. Mark again says,
some animals are more equal than others.
Thank you. Yep, Animal Farm. Mark again says, I prefer Water World in Civ 6. Never played Civilization at all, but people say I would like it. Mark again says, as if we could destroy the planet. How arrogant. People think that, though. I mean, we got a lot of buttons with nuclear devices attached to them, and that's something that we should probably be afraid of. But bar that, I don't know. Gentleman Warfighter says, if you wanted to make money, you'd toe the line. Yeah, right. I that goes to both of us, I think, because I don't toe the line, and I don't get the feeling you toe the line.
Yeah.
And good. Right. I'm glad. Mark again says, stop, drop, and roll that dice. Okay. So I have this dice game on my show. I have this dice that someone named White Lasagna sent me. All right, but I'm going to roll it, but you got to tell me when, okay? So say when.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I rolled it. All right, so I rolled the die. You guys know the deal. Good luck. Have fun. The prize is absolutely nothing. Have fun. All right. Let's see.
Wonderful.
Charles Jansen says, great live stream. Keep up the fight, Naomi. Have you worked with Bjorn Lomborg, who has outlined the cost of the fight against climate change?
I have not, unfortunately, but I do know him. I listen to his podcast on Michaela Peterson, for example.
Okay.
I think he's great. I think he follows me on Twitter.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Oh, we got the numbers rolling in. There we go. Wow. I don't know how this guy does it. Black magic. People are going to start claiming you work your black magic to guess the correct number. It was 16. You were the first person to guess it. You are some sort of, I don't know, number guessing genius of, I don't know. But congratulations, you won again. My goodness. Let the conspiracies in chat begin about how he keeps winning. But that's fun. All right, let's see. Impeach Biden Now says, a question for Naomi. Naomi, are you going to be all right? I'm really worried about you.
Yes, I am going to be all right.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a good head on your shoulders. So, and it sounds like you got a good group of people around you, which is great.
Exactly. That really is the biggest support system I can ever hope for.
Yeah, definitely. Marcus Nicole Ray, thank you for that super chat. I remember when Adamcast viewers were the most generous at the separation. Not knocking you now, just giving y'all some recognition before I take off. If you can show some love for Naomi. Oh, man. Well, I got to just say, my chat is awesome. My viewers are awesome. So shout out to my viewers, and thank you all for hanging out with us, because And do me a favor, share this video, because I feel like a lot of stuff that was talked about today was pretty important. Like I wasn't really expecting to talk about COVID a lot today, but I'm totally fine with it because I feel like people need to, be more aware of what they're going through and what the government is doing and how they're using this. So it was nice to talk about that kind of stuff.
I'm
Bill,
really grateful for this platform. Yeah,
thank
I
you.
was really looking forward to talking about especially the COVID topic.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Bilbo says, please ask Naomi about Biden's pushing for critical race theory crap in schools. I see this as really dangerous. I don't know if you know much about this, the
Yeah,
critical
obviously.
race.
It's all the same game. It's all this divide and conquer, thinking in
Yep.
black and white terms. So yeah.
Yep. Yep. That's all it is. Right. Exactly. I mean, we've talked about it, so let's see. DG, sorry, says, yep, we're freaking hooped. But thanks to this brilliant young woman, people like my dad, mom, and possibly aunts, uncle, and grandma stand a chance. Right on. I agree. Oh,
Thank
here's
you.
Josh and Jesus. This is the person who mentioned something from my locals page. How about a celebrity boxing match between Naomi and Emma? Who's Emma? Wait. Winner gets to pick the media narrative on climate change. You mean Greta? Maybe he's thinking Greta. Would you be down? Celebrity boxing match?
Boxing match, no, but I would love to like debate some people,
Maybe like
even
a
even like
intense chess game.
virologists, like actual virologists. That would be amazing to debate them
Yeah.
live.
Yeah, like have you with like your panel of experts that you bring, and then
Yeah.
Greta with her panel of experts. I know you don't like being, but it's too late. I feel
No,
like,
that would be
yeah,
cool. That would be interesting to actually have this debate. Yes, but nobody would ever know that. I
true.
remember actually in this Washington Post article, at the end of the article, it says explicitly, "We tried to reach out to Greta Thunberg and asked her to comment, but she did not want to."
Of course not, because she's scared. She got
Mhm.
scared. Let's see. Mark G says, "Sorry, my German is poor. I only took high school German, which was a long time ago. I should have used Google Translate instead of trying to remember." Oh, you know what? I give you props then, Mark G. I made the assumption. Sorry for assuming that you used Google Translate. So
No, he definitely tried it himself because there were some word errors in there,
okay,
but it was understandable. So
there you go, Mark.
I appreciate the effort,
Right
definitely.
on, right on. Nice,
I have to
Lady
warn
Bell.
you very quickly that my battery is really low. So
Okay, we're almost done. I got
okay.
we got we're almost through with these. Let's see. Lady Bell says, ask Naomi if she has seen the European patents on the virus.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Robert Wild says, remember the last ship show, Adam? They found a virus from the age of the dinosaurs they had to use to save us. I don't know that show, but of course they did. Aham,
About the
thank you for the.
virus patents, that one is interesting because why would you need a patent for something that is allegedly just natural and not constructed?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Aham, thank you for that huge super chat. Sending in honor of my late husband. We watched you together since the beginning of Timcast. Keep on keeping on. Well, you know what, Aham, thank you so much for that. I'm very sorry to hear about your husband. I'm going to spin the UFO for him and for you, and I appreciate your support. I'm sorry to hear. The spin is just for Aham. All right. Mark says, can we get a dab for old time's sakes? I have not and never will dab. Mark Robershaw again, is common sense uncommon sense now? Yes. Simply put, yes. The only people doing the greatest and most important work are the sewage plant workers. They deal with our poop day in and day out, and both in their job and on the internet. Nice, Mark. Mark G there. Joshua says, is it possible that we aren't necessarily dealing with evil people, but with an evil philosophy that preys on the desires to do good and causes people to do evil things, which they justify as being for the greater good? Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, but at the core, there are evil people, I think.
Both of those
There
can
are
be true
people who
then.
know about that. Yeah, of course.
Right.
I think the people at the very top, they know what they are doing. They
Yep.
know this stuff.
Angry Bellsprout says, Naomi, favorite whiskey and beer, also personal top speed on the Autobahn.
I don't drink and never have.
She doesn't drink. She doesn't have her license.
Yeah,
So, right?
I'm a child basically.
You're such a child, but a
Yeah, I
well-informed
know.
one. That's all right. Engleby says Naomi is the next generation's Elon Musk. Wow. All right. Nice. You have any
Thank you.
rocket scientists rumbling around in there? No? Maybe?
No.
No? That's all right. Mark says hacks. I call hacks. Black Magic hacker confirmed. I told you people are going to freak out because Black Magic won again. He wins a lot at the dice game. Coven says I'm late, but I miss her best Euro libertarian. Well, you can always watch the episode. It'll be here. Mark says Black Magic has a camera above your desk. Not that I know of, but that would be a little creepy. Mark G says, Adam, check your room for hidden cameras. All right, I will. IWD, thank you for that hefty super chat. The original nuclear winter figures were done based off the assumption that the meteor impact caused the damage that killed the remaining dinosaurs. Um, it was that the debris from the meteor sparked a forest fire the size of the U.S. We can't do that. Actually, it's even worse than that. What it did was the atmosphere was filled with what would be considered molten rain. It's actually pretty. This is the Chicxulub. I actually did a kind of a mini deep dive on Chicxulub. That's the name of the meteor that just killed the dinosaurs. But what happened was it hit the ground and created such a deep impact, and the water rushing in cooled all of the hot molten metal and shot it into the atmosphere as molten vapor, and it basically blocked out the sun for many years, and it was like raining molten hot flames. It's crazy, and that's what started all the fires. It's pretty insane when you really look into it. Fantastic Mr. Knox says Greta losing to a debate match. How dare you? Yeah, that's my best Greta there. Josh and Jesus says I was confusing Greta with Emma Watson. Sorry, that's okay. I figured as much. Shanjak says a med student cured his lactose intolerance using a virus to modify the genes of his gut lining to make lactase a few years back. Imagine what they could do, intentionally or not, with a VC. Yeah, who knows? But experiment it in a secure environment, not on the general populace. Goofyfoot says you have to check out Tony Heller at Real Climate Science. Cool, I'll check it out. All right, that's the end of our super chats. Before you get booted off, I know your battery's dying. Look, I'm going to give you the camera. Tell people what you're doing, how to follow you, and just give your little send off to my followers.
Thank you so much. And once again, I'm also really impressed by your really amazing following. I read some of the comments here on my laptop on the side. It's so nice. So thank you very much for giving me this platform. And yeah, well, you can find me on YouTube. I took kind of a break due to health problems, but I do intend to go live again very soon. So I'm mostly doing live videos right now because, yeah, I do everything myself. I don't have an editor or anything like that. So I prefer to do the live videos and sometimes speeches and stuff like that. I will inform you when that happens. Other than that, you will find all my social media on my website, naomiseibt.com. So, and also always in the description box under my videos.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining. It was such a pleasure to get to know you. And thank you, everyone, for joining in. I will be back, of course, tomorrow. It is Friday, so you know what that means. Jam night. I'm going to be jamming some songs. I'm actually working on a new song. It's not ready yet. I have, once a new song starts getting crafted, it's kind of always in the back of my head until it's done. So you can be looking forward to that. I'll also be going live later on my Twitch stream. So I will see you then. And again, thank you, Naomi. Goodbye, everybody.